Hello, everyone, and welcome to Engineering Tomorrow's college admissions event. We're so happy that you took this time to join us today. We have not one, but a whole panel of extraordinary speakers that will talk to you today and bring a wealth of knowledge on the college admissions process. So we're really excited to get started. And I am excited to introduce you to the moderator for this event. Dr. Jen Gagne is the Executive Director for Admissions at the Colorado School of Mines. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Great. Thanks, Jillian. And hi, everybody. We are so excited that you have joined us today for our event. We received some questions in advance. And before we get to those, we are each going to go through a little bit of information about our institutions, because you have two military academies represented as well as two public universities. And we all have engineering and science. And so we're excited to share with you a little bit about our colleges and universities, what makes us a little bit unique. And then we'll go into those questions. And then if you have any other questions, you can pop them into the chat and we'll get to that as well. All right, Jillian, we can move to next slide. So, like Jillian said, my name is Jen Gagne. I am the Executive Director of Admissions at Colorado School of Mines. For those of you unfamiliar with mines, we are located in Golden, Colorado, about a half an hour away from Denver at the foothills of the Rockies. And we are a tween size institution. You can see a lot of our statistics up on this slide right now. We are a primarily residential undergraduate institution. We've got about 6,200 undergrads, and we are all engineering and applied sciences. So as I like to describe us, we don't have any easy majors, right? If you're interested in STEM, engineering and applied science, and do hands-on learning activities, we are a wonderful university. We are a public institution, so our mission is to serve the Coloradans in the state. We have about 50% of our students are from Colorado, but we also represent all 50 states as well as 43 countries. So we are getting students from all across the country and all across the world who are interested in the smaller university fit that has engineering and applied sciences. We bring in about 1,600 undergrads for every first year, and it's a nice size. We've got our 18-to-1 student faculty ratio. I often tell students you cannot hide from your faculty at Mines. You will be more than just a number. Your faculty will know you, and you will know your faculty. And one of the great things that I love talking about Mines is the support that faculty provide you. And again, with our small class size and our small faculty to student ratio, again, they care about your success. We don't do any weeding out after you're on campus. Once you're on campus, we really want you to get to graduation. And so we have our, 92% retention rate that we're really proud of, because that means that's the amount of students that are coming back to Mines after they start in their first year at Mines. You can move to the next slide. So a little bit about our academic offerings. So I said we're all engineering and applied sciences, and I mean it. So we were founded 150 years ago as a mining engineering institution to meet the need of the Colorado Gold Rush. And our job back then was to ensure that we were educating and training the mining engineers to make sure that they were safe, that they were utilizing the best technology at that time. We still have a fantastic mining engineering program, but we offer so much more than mining engineering. We offer mechanical, civil, our aerospace is within mechanical. We are leaning into quantum and a variety of different applied science and engineering options. One of the cool things about Mines is if you are not sure what you want to study, but you do like STEM and you like engineering and science, you can apply to Mines as an exploring majors, or you can choose a major of interest and you can change your mind at any point in time. We don't have any secondary admissions, and we don't cap any entrance into our academic programs. So even if you decide you wanted to pursue one of our most popular programs, you can do that, and it's a piece of paperwork. So The nice thing is you'll have your major. You can also choose to personalize your education with a minor or an area of special interest, as well as a combined program where you can get your bachelor's and your master's degree in 5 years. So all of our students have a professional academic advisor as well as a faculty mentor to really help you find the best fit for you and take a look at our outcomes before you actually make that big decision. And then next slide. All right, so when it comes time to preparing for mines, we really lean into math and science since that is the foundation of all of our academic programs. So while you're in high school, we want to see you complete all of your high school requirements. Every high school has something unique, so make sure you do that. But for us, in terms of math and science, we want to see 4 years of math, at least trigonometry or pre-calc at a minimum, as well as 3 years of lab-based science with physics or chemistry at a minimum, ideally both, and then again, your other high school requirements. And if you do have an option available to you to take advanced math, advanced science, honors, AP, IB, dual enrollment, or any STEM focused classes, that's going to enhance your application. But we know that not everyone has access to that. And so that's something that we are really aware of. If you don't, that's fine. We want to just see you challenge yourself with what you have available to you in your high school environment. And we'll see that when you apply to Mines. And as part of our application process, we encourage you to submit a couple letters of recommendation. It doesn't have to be from someone in a STEM class. It could be a supervisor of a job that you've held. It could be a coach from an athletic or a team or a club. And as long as it's not a family member, we don't want to see that, but we want to see someone who can speak to who you are, what you're bringing to the classroom environment, and why you would be a great fit at any university. And then our personal statements, we encourage you to complete those. One is, why do you want to be an ore digger? What do we want to see? Why do you want to attend Mines? Because we are a unique institution. And the other one is, what element on the periodic table best represents you and why? You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we really lean into kind of this cheesy, geeky, nerdy stuff. Our student-centered dining area is actually called the periodic table, and there are elements on all of our tables. So that's the kind of fun that we like to have at Mines. Our average accepted student profile, we're going to unweight all GPAs and evaluate them out of a 4.0. So we see a 3.86 as our average. And we're test optional. So you do not have to send in test scores. You can if you would like to. Of those students who are sending in test scores, our average ACT is 31 and our average SAT is 1397. So I know that's a lot of information, but that's just about Mines. I am going to now turn it over to Dr. Tori Tomachek, and she's going to tell you about the United States Naval Academy.
Thanks so much. I kind of want to apply to Mines now, but I'm also very excited to tell you about the U.S. Naval Academy. So my name is Tori Tomachek. I'm an associate professor in the Ocean Engineering Department. So I can tell you as a professor, if you go to the Naval Academy, you're going to know your profs because I know all my students' names and I like to go to their sports games. So like we're pretty much a family here, but where is the Naval Academy? We are located in the Chesapeake Bay in Annapolis, Maryland. So if you look at the East Coast of the United States, go all the way up the Chesapeake Bay, we're really close to Washington, D.C., right on the Severn River, which gives us a lot of opportunities to, get the advantages that we have from being so close to Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, while also getting some of the training opportunities we need being on the water. So one unique thing about the Naval Academy is that in addition to your core science, engineering, humanities, English classes, you're going to be taking sea navigation and you're going to be taking leadership because our mission here is to develop you guys into leaders of the U.S. Navy or Marine Corps. So we can jump to the next slide. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The admissions process is maybe also a little bit unique. We represent students from all 50 states because we're representing, kind of the face of the nation in terms of our sea power and also the Marine Corps. So the graduation, you're going to start probably your junior year, maybe early senior year, because you're going to need a letter of recommendation from your senator. And so there's a few extra steps in that admissions process. In addition, there's, emphasis on sort of the moral, mental, and physical mission. And so in order to be at the Naval Academy, you have to pass a physical readiness test. I think it's a very achievable test with the right preparation, but just kind of something to keep in mind. It's not just academics, we're really focused on the whole person. If you decide that the Naval Academy is the right place for you, some of the perks are that not only is tuition covered by the great American taxpayer, but you also get a stipend. So we actually are paying you guys to go to college. So literally college is your job if you come here. And as a part of that, we emphasize moral. So we have leadership classes, we have ethics classes, we focus on a leadership laboratory that we're developing in Bancroft Hall, which is our dormitory where all the students live for all 4 years. And so you'll be able to develop kind of some leadership experience, hands-on, and in a really safe place where if things don't go perfectly, it's not the end of the world. But what that does is it prepares you to successfully lead sailors and Marines all over the world. I can speak a little bit more to the sort of mental component of our mission. So our academics are pretty challenging, but I think also we really want you to succeed. And so from an academic side, no matter what your major is, you can graduate as an English major or a humanities major, but you're going to have a bachelor's of science because you're going to be taking Calc 3, you're going to be taking chem, and you're going to be taking physics. So we really emphasize that STEM components, even if you decide that you want to take a different major. You have a little bit of time to choose your major. So once you start at the Naval Academy, you'll actually pick your major in March after taking sort of a set of core classes. You can validate some of those with IB or AP classes. But then once you select your major, we really do our best to make sure you're happy there and to make sure that you can accomplish graduation in 4 years. We have kind of a mandate. I have to speak because Captain Eckford is on. We also focus on that physical mission. So happy to see the Army-Navy game go our way last year and gonna have another good one this year. Let's talk a little bit more about engineering specifically though. So let's jump to the next slide. The School of Engineering, we have a lot of different engineering programs. A lot of these are focused on Navy needs. So things like cyber science and cybersecurity are big new impacts to the Navy. So we have some new facilities that are devoted to those. Aerospace, computer engineering, electrical, mechanical. I represent the Naval Architecture and Ocean Engineering Department, so I'm also including a shameless plug for our specific major if you want to play the video. One of the other unique things about the Naval Academy is the world-class facilities we have that are designed for undergraduates. So if you go to another institution, there are also going to be world-class facilities, but many of those facilities are going to be reserved for graduate student or professors to do their research, where these facilities, we have world-class research going on, but the number one goal is for them to be used for students to use for capstone projects and for your own independent research and your lab coursework. So this is a video from our 380-foot towing tank. This is used a lot in naval architecture labs and ocean engineering labs. What you can see is you see this model of a boat where we're running waves, and we've got a whole bunch of sensors that we're measuring. Is the boat going to roll over? Is the boat going to tip up? And so this is just one example of some of the really cool labs that we have, because we believe that training isn't just in the classroom. Understanding really comes with a hands-on approach. I think I'm going to stop here and pass the ball, but if you have any questions, really happy to talk about those later.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am Captain Eckford. I am from the United States Military Academy at West Point. I am an admissions officer, but I'm also an Army engineer by background, and so proud graduate of the Academy 2021. And West Point, for those of you that don't know, also a military academy, but we're one of the nation's top leadership and STEM institutions as well. Fully funded federal academy where students, or cadets, what we call them there, earn a world-class Bachelor's of Science degree while also developing as leaders of character. And so every graduate will commission as a U.S. Army officer and lead soldiers around the world. And I'll kind of share now like what what makes West Point and engineering programs so unique, and kind of what colleges generally look for in applicants, specifically I think the academies as well, and how students like you guys can prepare for success in any STEM pathway. So this slide just kind of shows you what we offer here. Every cadet will earn a Bachelor's of Science across 35 different majors, all AV accredited. And it's fully funded education, like I mentioned, like Navy as well. Your tuition, your housing, medical, and a monthly stipend are all covered while you're at the academy. You will serve 5 years on active duty and 3 years in the inactive reserves, which will then give you that 100% employment rate. And then we also rank among some of the top undergraduate engineering programs nationally. So as you can see there, kind of number 4 overall. And I loved looking at the questions that you guys had all submitted. And I think to tie to a couple of those questions that you guys had, what do colleges value? How can I make myself stand out? I think speak for all of us. I think colleges really value that curiosity, teamwork, and kind of purpose beyond grades. So kind of focus on who you are, not just what your scores are. Obviously, we all are very kind of competitive schools, but we love to look at students holistically and see what you bring to the table, just aside from what maybe the numbers say. Next slide, please. Awesome. So these are, we offer an incredible range of STEM programs, and this is just really focusing on our STEM ones. We also have a ton of humanities majors as well. But you can see that we have our aerospace engineering, civil, mechanical, cyber, and data science. I know Navy put on their side the football, the physical, Army, Navy may beat us last year, but we were one of the first engineering academies, one of the first engineering universities. So we were number 1, and then everybody else just copied us. So I'm going to plug that in. I think we won that. We also have some cutting edge minors like the robotics, cybersecurity, AI. And the goal for the academy is to build leaders who can think critically and ethically, not just technically. So you're going to learn all the technical skills, but then you're going to learn how to apply those, critically think of how you're going to use them. And we also have our brand new building, our cyber and engineering academic building that's currently, almost finished. And that's just a lab space. So as Navy had mentioned as well, we really do believe that the classroom needs to not just be the pen to paper. You need to be able to, see what you're doing. We talk a lot about at the academy. We have a lot of drones that we're, trying to figure out, what the payload is on them and all of that good stuff. And instead of just kind of doing the problem set on it, we want to have the space to actually see what that looks like, test it out, fail there, go back to the drawing board and really bring it to life. And, just to tie again to one of the questions that I'd seen on there, even if your school doesn't have a strong STEM option with where you're at, start with where you are, right? Show initiative, curiosity, problem solving in different areas, right? You don't need to have or come from a stellar school that has all of these. I understand that's not, maybe feasible in where you live. Totally fine. Where can you find that problem solving, elsewhere? What clubs can be a part of? What can you start? So I'd offer that as some advice as someone who didn't come from a perhaps, strong STEM focused high school. And then looking at the bottom, the cadet experience and the real world impact, what's unique about West Point is we are hands-on, like I mentioned. From day 1, cadets, you're going to start working on capstone projects with the Army and industry partners. You're solving real world problems that we face every day in the Army that impact soldiers and communities in the United States at large, right? So you're going to use the world-class facilities, like I mentioned, the Cyber Research Center, and then many projects directly will influence Army innovation. So you are directly influencing the things that you're doing every day at the academy. You can have a direct impact on what gets brought to market, what you'll be using when you graduate as an Army lieutenant. And so when choosing between schools that offer this, think about where you're going to gain, the experience that you're looking for, mentorship and purpose that goes beyond just name recognition or home ties, right? Figure out what is important to you. And really lead into that and find schools that really match on that, the pros list or the non-negotiables of what you're looking for. And then last slide, please. All right, for our application process. So as you can see, our application is broken into kind of 3 different siloed things that we need for our application at home. So some of the non-negotiables that we have: you must be a citizen, 17 to 22 years old, and then obviously not be pregnant or have any legal obligation. And then the 3 parts of our application, you will have your West Point application that will open up February of your junior year. And we always recommend getting in there, starting it early, and then it'll close January 31st of your senior year. throughout your as you go on doing your application for West Point, it'll then trigger what we have what's called a medical qualification. And what'll happen is you'll go get seen by one of our medical doctors, get evaluated to make sure you're physically fit and good to go to serve in the at West Point, and then thus words afterwards. So you get medically qualified, then you also have to seek a nomination from your congressmen, senators, or the vice president to get into the academy. And so all of those things have to be complete for you to have admission into the academy. And then that small little box at the bottom left corner just kind of shows how we weight our application. So a good portion of it is academics, your GPA, SAT, or ACT, and because we are very STEM heavy, a lot of mathematics is involved in that, a lot of critical thinking. So we want to see that you're going to be able to keep up with the rigor. But then 30% of that is how you are as a leader and as a person. So the extracurriculars you're involved in, the school evaluations, and I think I speak for everyone. You don't need to be a member of a million clubs for to get into an academy or university. We want to see you make an impact in the places that you're at. So do things that you enjoy. Don't just put it on there to put it on the resume. Truly be interested in what you're doing, because we can see that. We know that if you're a member of a million different things, we're like, when do you have time to still get that 4.0, right? So. And then we also have the cadet physical assessment, which Navy touched on as well. It's just an assessment just to make sure you're able to keep up with the physical needs of the academy and of West Point. But I know academies are a bit different. So for any questions, I'll throw my information there. I'm also the admissions for the whole Eastern Seaboard. So any questions that you guys may have, I'm happy to answer. And this is just a great event. So I will hand it off to who's ever next.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to meet you. My name is John Marfield. I'm the Executive Director of Admissions at the University of Utah. University of Utah is the public flagship institution for the state of Utah. And you can see there, I know that we're competing for beautiful campuses between Colorado School of Mines and Utah, but we both are situated in the Rocky Mountain region. So this gives you a little bit of a sense of not only what our campus looks like, but its location next to the Wasatch Mountains, which gives you easy access to beautiful outdoors, and also 10 minutes away from downtown Salt Lake City. So you have kind of the best of both worlds, where you have an urban playground, but also a natural playground. We are a little bit larger, so if you're looking for an institution that offers engineering and a wide variety of other academic programs, we're a much more comprehensive, larger institution. I think you're learning a lot about engineering, but you're also meant to learn about your overall fit for your university. Do you want to be in a big city? Do you want to be in a smaller city? Do you want to be at a big school? Do you want to be, at a place like Mines, where the faculty know your name and they're going to make sure that you're in class, or a little bit of a larger place? So it's really very dependent on who you are. And that's kind of one of the fun parts of the college admissions process, is not just to discover engineering and discover what your academic interests are, but discover where you want to live and where you want to be for your 4 years of your undergraduate experience. So we all have amazing, incredible programs. And just as you can see from the variety of the description of our university, is just a totally different experience that gives you so many options and choice to see if that resonates with you. So like I said, we're located near downtown Salt Lake City. I would consider us to be a very medium-sized institution. We have about 36,000 total students. We bring in about 6,400 new first-time freshmen and about 1,300 new transfer students each fall. We are made up of about 17 academic colleges at the University of Utah, not just engineering, but we're known for top programs in business entrepreneurship, the arts, and social sciences and things like that. We have a very traditional, like, rah-rah college experience. So we're part of the Big 12 Athletic Conference. So if you want to have, that be a part of your college experience and go to football games and gymnastics meets and all that sort of stuff, that is a big part of campus life, in addition to the academic experience. And one thing that I also want to put out there is we actually two physical campuses. We have our main campus down in Salt Lake City, Utah, but we also have a second campus in Seoul, South Korea, where we also offer engineering programs. It's much smaller, but if you're the kind of person that wants to study something like engineering, but you love Korean culture, you love a global experience, vast majority of your experience in college. There are not just us, but there are many other institutions that will have these international regional campuses, and we have one that's located out in the Seoul, South Korea metro area. So it's a little bit about us and a little bit about what we look like. The majors here, these are the big departments of engineering that we have in the John and Marshall Price College of Engineering at the University of Utah. And so I know one of the things when you're trying to decide where to apply to college, you know you're interested in STEM, you know you're interested in engineering perhaps, and you look at these different options and you're not really sure which one you're most interested in, but maybe the college is asking you to indicate one if your primary interest or your application. Similar to Mayans, yes, we have all these, but it's okay to explore these different academic departments within engineering from the start. And we are a very strong research institution. We do a prolific amount of research. I'll talk about that in a second. But a lot of these departments are really focused on the areas of research that we are most well known for within our faculty. You'll see biomedical engineering is a huge focus for us because we are attached to the University of Utah Hospitals and Medical System, which is attached to our main campus. It's kind of up there closer to the mountains, but it's in there in that picture. So we do a great deal of not just medical research, but biomedical research as it relates to engineering. Chemical engineering, really taking the taking chemistry out of the lab and into the world, like what's the perfect coating for your chocolate bar, and what's the best material to use for your sneakers, different things like that. To civil and engineering, environmental engineering, which is really, really important because of our location in Salt Lake City in the Rocky Mountains. We really dedicate a lot of our efforts to using our natural environment to explore big research questions and problems. Things like drinking water treatments and air pollution control, studying wastewaters to sources in our neighborhood and in our state to predict diseases and disease prevention. So it's a lot of using engineering for public health and public good. And a lot of that comes from starting with nature. And then things like mechanical engineering, which I know a lot of us have. But for, a lot of us, we take a very interdisciplinary approach to mechanical engineering. You'll have majors like mechatronics, where it's a combination of mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. So it's not just, building things, but building things that create better GPS navigation or better smart homes or whatever it is. And so that's kind of an exciting thing about a comprehensive engineering program or a comprehensive engineering college, is that you're not going to be doing things so narrowly in your area of interest necessarily the whole time. You'll be able to see all the connections between the different areas that are listed here, for example. So feel free to go to the next slide. So my colleagues have already kind of touched on this. Something that is important to know is that it's really good for you to get a sense of different schools that you apply to, right? There are highly selective institutions, there are more accessible institutions. I would consider ourselves a more accessible institution. So we have an admit rate that's about 80% of our applicants, and we admit a very high quality group of students because we have very high quality applicants. So yes, what we want you to do is have great STEM preparation in the context of what's available. And kind of what Monica was saying, not everyone has access to, linear algebra and all these kinds of things in high school. That's absolutely fine. We evaluate you fairly within the context of what's offered at your high school, and then we'll put you on a track to succeed once you arrive. What will make you most successful when you arrive at the University of Utah is being able to jump right into calculus or evidence-based science lessons. However, if your school doesn't offer that, or if it does and you haven't got to that level yet, you absolutely can still be admissible to engineering at the University of Utah, but our advisors will make sure that you are on the right track to graduate on time in 4 years. And we will, upon admission, be very honest with you about what it will take to get you to that point. And And it might include some summer math and science boot camps before you arrive, pre-home repeat, summer courses throughout your time. We just want to make sure that you are not left behind during the process. And so we have a lot of assessments to make sure that we're bringing you up right. Next slide. And so one thing that's important, they talked about deadlines. Nothing could be more important than knowing the deadlines for the schools that you're applying for. For us, our first, and it's the only deadline I talk about, is December 1st. It's the same every single year, whether you're a senior, junior, sophomore. It's always December 1st, and it's always our first early action deadline, which is also our deadline to be considered for merit scholarships. So that's very important. Over 90% of our applicant pool applies by December 1st for that reason. And so I would just say it's very important for you to acknowledge that some of these early deadlines are important because they're the ones that allow you to be eligible for scholarships. We allow our engineering students to also get an entrepreneurship certificate with their engineering degree, so that they want to think in that way, to be their own boss, to do independent research, to see how they could use their skills to kind of be their own boss. That is something that we really focus on at the University of Utah. It's part of kind of the academic identity. We do have one of the top business entrepreneurship programs, but we want that to permeate all of our other academic options on campus, and engineering is included in that as well. We offer fellowships, which are for current students who are doing productive research with our faculty. But I also want to talk a little bit about scholarships just to the University of Utah. I saw that there's people from all over the country here, which is really exciting. We have a couple different options. If you are from a group of 16 Western states, things like Arizona, it's like California, even Hawaii, Alaska, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, all those kinds of places, you would be eligible for what's called the Western Undergraduate Exchange tuition rate, or the WUI tuition rate, which you'll hear a lot about if you're researching colleges. What we do is we offer you tuition at 150% of in-state tuition. In-state tuition at the University of Utah for Utah residents is only about $11,000 a year. And so if you're from one of those Western states, it would be about $18,000 a year. So a nice, huge tuition discount. It's our normal non-resident tuition rate. It's about $31,000 a year. But if you're from one of those other states, that's not Texas, East Coast, whatever, we guarantee significant scholarships as long as you have a 3.5 GPA, unweighted or higher. And if you have all the way up to a 4.0 GPA, you will get a $10,000 scholarship each year. Something that's really interesting about the University of Utah is it's very easy to change your residency status for tuition purposes. So after 12 months of being in the state of Utah, even if you're from Texas, even if you're from New York or Baltimore, you can become a Utah resident for tuition purposes. And sophomore, junior, senior year, you'll actually play the in-state tuition rate, which is something that we like to put out there. So just know that where you're from geographically could really depend on the different financial incentives that are available to make it affordable to attend. Not free, and we pay you to go like our amazing partners in Navy and West Point, but definitely some other financial incentives. We have housing options, so you can live just with engineering students. We have learning abroad programs, so if you want to study abroad or do an exchange program with another engineering STEM focused institution in another country. A lot of times, certain schools, it's hard to do a study abroad as a STEM focused engineering major, but we make that a priority. We do extensive career coaching. Nothing is a better show of the return on investment of our degree than the percentage of students who are with a job at graduation. And we have about 70% of our engineering students who have a job before graduation. And it's even higher for certain others than engineering, like electrical and computer engineering. It's almost like over 95% of our students have jobs before graduation. And the last thing I'll mention is prolific research. These are just some examples. The photo on the right is the world famous Utah Bionic Leg, which is something that our mechanical engineering and our robotics department in partnership with biomedical engineering at University of Utah developed to help people live really productive lives, and work with neuroprosthesis, make sure that these limbs are not just a mechanical structure, but finding out a way to connect them to your brain structure. So as you're thinking about moving, it actually moves the limb. And so a lot of really cool research going on there. We are in Salt Lake City, a past and future host of the Winter Olympics. So we do a lot of really cool research with the Paralympics team. So you can see down there, we have someone who's on the doing it with her mechanical engineering research lab and robotics, making it as easy as possible for competitors in the Paralympics to be as competitive as possible. So lots of fun things when you're thinking about engineering. There's so many ways that it plays out in real life. And I'm sure these are all the kinds of reasons you're interested in studying this. But thank you for hearing my spiel about Utah, and I'll pass it back.
Thank you, everybody. It's so great. And yeah, it makes me excited. I'm like, I don't want to go back to school, but if I could, all right. Just the amount of the availability of options throughout our universities, it's really incredible. And so I want to start, we do have some questions. So Sophia, I saw that you asked from Montebello High School, and when can you start preparing for college? And I would say that it's never too early to start preparing. I think, I mean, thinking of the military academies where you have a little bit earlier deadlines that you have to pay attention to. And in terms of your academic preparation, and even just, again, thinking about the big features, like where do you want to be in state? Do you want to go out of state? Do you want to go to a big school or a small school? There's so many different options. Does anyone else have any other, insights into kind of when you start preparing for college?
I would just also add that yes, I think sometimes people feel the pressure to start like too early. Because I think there's a fine line. I think once you get into, ninth grade, get into high school, that's where you start to really explore your interests. Work with your teachers and your counselors in your high school to figure out what are the best classes that will help you explore not just your academic interests, but your academic capabilities, and to put you on the right academic track to be successful in high school. But you start too early, it's just you're going to be stressed out. We do still want you to be like a normal teenager and enjoy your life and not be too stressed out. And always ask yourself, am I doing this activity because I'm super excited to learn it and I'm so interested, or am I doing it for my college application? And so you want to like avoid the for my college application thing.
I'll just chime in with one more short comment. Sorry, I know we have some more comments in the chat now, but I totally agree with Jen and John. I think the only other thing I would add is, never too early, but also don't put a ton of pressure on yourself. But also one thing to keep in mind while you're applying to college is you want to make sure that the colleges you're applying to is a good fit for you. So as you're going through the application process, if you're like, oh, this doesn't really sound as exciting as I thought it did my freshman year, like give yourself that ability to change your mind. And like with the campus visits, really, can you see yourself there? Because the most important thing I would say from all of our perspective is that you're happy at our institutions. And so we want you to find a good fit.
Absolutely. And then someone else added in, when is it too late to start preparing? I mean, everyone has a different path. And I mean, we'll see students who take gap years and then apply, where they won't even, some students will apply and then take a gap year and then come back. But some students just will, I'm going to take a year and I'm going to think about it. So again, in terms of being like excited about going to college, but also being academically ready and feeling like this is something I want to do. And it's not just something that you're, being forced to do. And then, and then there was a question about being on a sports team. And Dr. Tomachek answered some. And again, it's this, does it matter to you? Is it something that's important to you? I don't know if there's any of us on here who value that over another way of being involved. I would say no, but it's just it's something, again, if that's important to you, Captain Eckford, go for it.
Yeah, I'll say for us, it absolutely, having impact in whatever organization that you're a part of. I'd say for the academies, or at least for West Point, once you get here, you will be on a sports team. Every cadet is an athlete when you're here. And that's really for the leadership aspect of you're learning how to lead a team, how to win, how to lose humbly, just some of the things that you need to do while you're in the Army. And so I'd say absolutely not a non-negotiable if you're not on a team. But once you do get here, if sports are really not your thing or you're just really not into it, that's just a consideration, I think, for the academies, because sports and physicality is like a big proponent of our curriculum out here.
Yeah, and although it's not a big, I always love to share, it's like we have NCAA teams or we have clubs and organizations. And so whatever you're doing, doing something outside of class is important. So again, whether that's something that you're continuing on from high school or doing something new. Okay, so how many, or what's the average GPA to have? And how many classes do you need to have in college? Oh, so interesting. So once you're in college, what does the average course load look like? And then what GPAs are you all seeing for applications?
To start, so the average GPA for admitted students to the University of Utah is about a 3.65. So that's like a B plus A minus average, and that's unweighted. So that's the thing that is also a little confusing, is that for a lot of us, what we do is we look at your GPA on a 4.0 scale, even if your school doesn't. So if your school, you know, gives extra weighting for an AP class or an IB class, we look at the rigor of your schedule in a qualitative sense, but we don't actually add points per se. And so a lot of times, if your school doesn't give a GPA or they only weight it, we will actually recalculate your GPA. So, that's just us. So I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, but for us, our average GPA for admitted student. But we also have a holistic review. So we have plenty of students who have below that GPA, because there's other preparation, there's other things they write about in their essays and short answers that make us feel like, oh, they're going to be able to still be successful because they understand the resources they're going to take advantage of once they arrive at they've researched that we offer, for example, or they have a really compelling reason for doing a specific kind of engineering or work with the faculty doing research that we so there's things that we will weigh more than just the overall GPA.
I would say mine's is very similar, where we will unweight GPAs and we do a holistic review. Our average GPA is a 3.86 for accepted students. But again, we will care about if you've challenged yourself. So again, we have a question about if AP classes or dual enrollment is better. I like to say it's depending on what you are interested in, what you have available to you. But in terms of unweighting GPA at the military academies, are you unweighting GPAs or are they evaluated at a weighted scale?
Great question. We don't have a GPA minimum, but we do say as a rule of thumb, you do want to be in sort of like the top 20% or so of your high school class. So again, kind of echoing some of my colleagues, I would say we focus on the whole person, but definitely you want to be, trying to get after it academically in high school, set up those good work ethic routines. But if you have a 3.5, it doesn't mean there's no way you're going to get in. And if you have a 3.99, that's not necessarily a guarantee. So.
One last thing I'd like to add specific maybe for the academies is that, yes, we have the holistic application review. So really not like GPA, there's not a set number. ACT, SAT or ACT, probably 28 to 33 we see on average. And then we always tell everyone SAT reach for 1300. However, if you are far below that, we have opportunities for civil prep schools as well as a prep school right here on campus. So if you are outstanding leadership wise, outstanding physicality wise, and you're just a great person, you struggle a little bit academically, we do have opportunities for you guys to go to a prep school to get a year of academics under your belt, unique to, I think, the academy. So you can do civil prep school, you can do use my prep school, or take a year of college, and we'll take all of that into consideration the second time around. So just again, like we said, it doesn't mean if you have a 3.2, you're not going to get in. Obviously, we want to see those high academics for direct admission. But if you are a little bit lower, there is an opportunity to get to the academy, just taking one more year of academics.
Okay. I love this question from Isabella. Isabella is asking about either non-traditional students or what about adults that are changing careers into engineering? Does anyone have any great advice for that? Or maybe someone who's deciding a little bit later?
We have a program at our institution that's called Return to the U, which is for non-traditional students of all different majors. And typically what it does is it identifies your goals and your paths, and we help students with whether it's if you want to do engineering, make sure you have the preparation, or the course that you have taken the classes that normally prepare you, but they were like 20 years ago. We have partnerships with our local community college, Salt Lake Community College, where we have guaranteed transfer admissions programs with them and specific pathways that apply also to engineering students. So a lot of times what we do, because we want you to be successful, and if we feel like you need a little bit of preparation before returning to a traditional undergraduate program, we have set up partnerships in our way. So that's something that we do. But for us, it's harder to, and we want more of those students, but it's always hard to find them. It's hard to market to those students because they're not as traditional. It's not like you're in high school, we can promote at your high school. You're kind of out in the working world, you're out just in the world in general. But we love it when those students find their way to us.
For academies, for us, our unique age range, you cannot be older than 23 on your first day at the academy. And so, that leaves a couple of years, I think, between college for you to, kind of decide on what it is. We have had kids that are high schoolers that have gone to college for a year or two, decided that wasn't the path that they had wanted, and then chose to come to the academy, being a little bit older. But I always, if there's always a chance, let us say no. So, switch, see, as you, go through and are trying to discern, what it is. I always say, what makes you the happiest, what makes you the most excited to go learn and to go seek, and follow that. And so, unfortunately for us, we do have that age limit, but you don't have to pick a major once you get here until after your freshman year. You'd have to come in decided. So it gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to breathe and figure out what it is that you are excited about, what classes you are eager to go to. But that's just, I think, something unique for the academies. I believe it's the exact same for Navy as well.
And then also something else to think about, we are always looking at additional ways for people to upskill either through certificates or through a master's degree, even if you don't have an engineering background. And so I do think that it is a nice way to kind of explore all the different options that are there. There is also a question. So specifically for our academies, how do you get a recommendation from your state senator, since that is a process that you do not have to go through for Utah or for Mines?
I can speak for the admissions side since I handle this daily. And it's the same for us, Navy and the Air Force Academy, the Citadel and Merchant Marine, a little bit different, but you do need nomination for the three big academies, so Air Force, Navy, Army. The way that you do that is during your senior year. It'll be about August, September. You will go to your house.gov, senate.gov, and they will have a little tab for you to say apply to service academies. You will click on that. Every single congressional district, every state is different, and how they handle their application process for that. Typically we see is, similar type application questions, but then somewhat interviews, some do video interviews, some want to see your cadet physical assessment on file. So we always tell everyone start early, like right when school starts, start logging on to see when those due dates are due, because some are as early as October, some are as late as end of November, but those are completely independent of the academies. You will have to seek those on your own. So advice is to figure out what congressional district you're in based on your location, figure out who your congressman is, maybe do some research now if you're a little bit younger to see what those applications look like, when those dates are. But all the recommendation is to apply to all of the possible nominations you're afforded. So everybody can apply for a congressional nomination from your congressman and from your 2 senators and from the vice president. So you can apply for 4 different like buckets to put your name in to get a nomination, but you need a nomination to get into the academy. And you do not need them from all 4 of those people, but just applying to each one of those to increase your chances of getting a nomination.
Same, and thanks, Monica.
It is confusing, so I will, like I said, I'll put my information in here and happy to chat at all things admission side. And I know Tori's really great at all things academic side as far as the teaching and STEM and all of that as well. So
And then we've been answering some questions in the chat because it is unbelievable. We're at 10:53. I think something that I would love to share with everyone that really hits the importance of it is that we are here for you. It's never a bad time to reach out and ask a question. And because so many answers to questions are, it depends on the university. Every university does things a little bit differently. And so if you do have questions, we will be sending out overall information, how to get in contact with us, because we know that the college search process is daunting. It's overwhelming. There are different deadlines, different things you have to pay attention to. And in the midst of really, again, trying to enjoy and make the most of your high school time and especially your senior year. So please take us up on that. We love getting questions and being able to answer those questions because again, we want you to know that we are partnering with you, right? We want to make sure that you're finding your best bet and your best fit. And again, there's so many great opportunities out there that we want to be able to showcase that to you. So before we totally wrap things up, I'd say what's one piece of advice or one thing that you would like students to know as they're looking in the college search process, and yes, and then there are how is your institution supporting first generation students? How are students feeling included on campus? If you could answer those, like we'll do like a quick round robin, those 2. Who wants to go first?
Way to go. So what are we, if I don't answer the question correctly, I'm sorry. So, and if I forget a piece, but it sounds like something that we want them to know about the admissions process in general. I would say self-reflection is really important. Really think of the college admissions process more than just sort of like an annoying task that you're checking off your list, and really think of it as an opportunity to learn something about yourself. Because when you do that, and then you're able to articulate that reflection in writing in your application, it's going to come across so much more authentic. You're absolutely going to, because everyone asks, how do I stand out? It's so competitive. There's so many applications. And honestly, if you have strong grades, that's probably not going to be the thing that makes you stand out, or a test score. That's probably not going to be the thing that stands out. But if you're able to share with us a little bit about authentically why you're interested in the subject, our school, if someone comes up to you and says like, why do you want to go to Mines? And you're like, I know I just want to go there because it's prestigious. But then like, if someone asks you and you're like, and you can't really find the answer, like, listen to that. Maybe it's not a school you should be applying for. Or if you start to do the application and it gets to all the questions of like, why do you want to go to Utah? And you're sort of like, I don't know, you're not like that excited to answer the question, or you're not really sure. It's okay. You need to listen to those instincts. That is something that could be telling you that it's not a school you need to apply to. There's so many other options. And so I would put that out there. In terms of supporting students, a lot of our campuses, I know ours has a Center for First Generation College Student Success. and a lot of first year experience programs that are cohort based to make sure that even like at a larger school like Utah, you come in with a smaller academic cohort to not just learn about something, but to learn about resources on campus and meet other incoming students.
I'll jump in next. Yeah, I think those were great answers. I would say just maybe a couple things to add on, what to think about as you're applying for colleges. So one thing I think that a lot of people talk about is, how to stand out and how do I get into the college I want to get in. And so I guess I just want to mention one thing is if you don't get into the college that you want to get into, it's not a reflection on you as a person. There's tons of people throwing in these invitations. And at the end of the day, you guys all deserve to be there. And so sometimes it's just not your roll of the dice. Like sometimes you just have a bad, unlucky moment, but there's still a lot of opportunities. If you want to go to a military academy, you could do a year of college and then apply again. And so don't let, one piece of bad news derail what you want to do with your future. So that's, I would say, the advice that I would like to give you. And then kind of try to keep that as you go. Whatever college you get to, that's just the first door that opened. There's so many open doors once you get here, whether you want to do a study abroad or you want to do a minor or you want to learn a language. There's a lot of opportunities for that. So I would say, when you get to college as a first generation college student or as somebody else, keep an open mind with all of the clubs and activities. And like, if you want to try it, like, this is the time in your life to try it. Like, take history of polka dots, take quantum mechanics, do whatever is interesting to you, because this is the time for that to happen.
The last thing I would add on to that, because again, all great points. I think for, Academy specifically too, or not even Academy specifically, but interested in things that you are interested in, not your parents are interested in, not your guidance counselor interested in for you. Truly, what are you interested in, and lead that from the front. I love getting emails daily from candidates. I love interacting when I'm at an event, talking to the candidate, even if you're nervous, even if you don't really know, or you think it's there's no stupid questions in the admissions process. This is your, next 4 years, next, life of, the admissions from afterwards. So I really, really encourage you guys, when you're going through this process, you guys lead from the front. Absolutely, your parents are there to support you and to help you with whatever you guys need or whatever support system that you guys have. But I want to hear from you. I don't need to hear from your mom, your dad, or what are the questions you have? So that is my biggest advice as you're going into this. Like, it is your guys' decision. Absolutely take in the support, but ultimately it's your decision. Then get involved with clubs and activities once you get to whatever school you're at. We all offer varieties of different types, and find something you're interested in and find a support system once you get to that school.
Thank you all. And kind of really similar. One of mine I like to talk about, if you do get a chance to visit colleges and universities, have fun with that, enjoy it. Try to, and also try to make a list of, maybe you're going for one school, but maybe look at 2 other schools that are in the area. I actually know one of our financial aid professionals ended up finding her dream school because of that. Her parents made her look at 2 other schools if she was going to look at one school. So again, there's lots of great universities out there. For us, in terms of how we support our first generation students, yeah, we have Tri Alpha. It's our first generation kind of honor society. We have multicultural engineering programs. So we're connecting students with students and professional teams and organizations. So again, lots of support out there. Really, our job's making sure that you find that right fit and you're supported throughout this process. I'm going to turn it back over to Engineering Tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone on our panel today, Dr. Gagne, Dr. Marfield, Captain Eckford, and Dr. Tomachek, for coming on and giving all this valuable information to our high schoolers. The teachers are asking for the recording already, so you did a great job. Thank you. Teachers, please submit those exit tickets. And I do want to share one thing about upcoming events. We have to close the 2025 year. We have one humanitarian event coming up. Let me back up. Featuring an engineer from the Texas Department of Education. In November, we have an astrodynamics event featuring an active NASA astronaut. And then to close out the year, we have a magic show featuring the co-inventor of Siri. So you don't want to miss those events. We hope to see you soon. Thank you and enjoy your weekend.